Hello, welcome. It's Wednesday, and that means it's time to meditate. I am Keith. I'm your meditation teacher here tonight on this channel, Meditation Breaks. So this channel is all about learning meditation, and on it, we focus on a number of different types of meditations, things we can do with meditation. I like to kind of think of this channel as a cookbook, right? And you might be like, oh, I like that recipe. So each week we will look at a recipe. Hey, Rob, how's it going? Hey, Dan. So even though each week is tailored to a specific topic, I always start every class with a general introduction to meditation, assuming you are here for the first time. Many of you may very well be. This is your first time meditating. What even is it, Keith? So we'll go over that. We'll talk about what is meditation, why does it work, what's going on with it, like why even bother doing this. And then we'll do a short breathing meditation together. It's like no more than 5 minutes, don't worry. And then we're going to talk about our topic. And today's topic, somebody wrote me an email saying they're having some trouble, like kind of sticking to a routine for meditation. So we're going to talk about that. And I think it's a really useful topic. It is one that if you've been coming here a while, you're probably like, oh, I remember Keith doing a class on that. This is really, really important because the way we're going to see benefits with meditation is by having it become a part of our lives, right? And it doesn't mean we need it to take over hours and hours of our day. Actually, the complete opposite. So we'll go over all that, and I'll give you some tips on maybe how you can think about what's the perfect setup for you to build a fruitful meditation routine. And maybe you already have one, and this is a good opportunity to evaluate, is this still working for me? Because our situations change, right? All right, cool. Riley, consistency is the most important part. I agree. All right, so last thing before we get started, if you are new, I do encourage you to ask questions if they come up. You can just type in the chat like you see some people doing now. It's the best way to get your question answered. I will stop what I'm doing and answer it. You don't have to wait for question time. You can just ask your question, and as soon as I see it in my peripherals, I will answer it. Also, I will give everyone my email towards the end of the session. So if you have a question that comes up, you think of it after it's over, I've just thought of a question, you can still ask me. All right? Okay, cool. So we're going to get started. And as usual, we get started with a timeless question of what is this meditation thing? What is it? Like, what is meditation? What's that thing? And even if we haven't tried meditation, we have an image of what meditating is like, right? It's generally sitting cross-legged on a hard wooden floor with our eyes closed. This is our kind of like generic image of what meditation is. This is a way to meditate. You can meditate sitting on the floor with your eyes closed, right? But that is not meditation in its essence. It's just a way to do it. So the true definition of meditation is it is a technique used to create familiarity in your mind. So to familiarize your mind with something. Now, what that something is up to you. So a lot of us start getting interested in meditation to maybe help de-stress or relax a little bit. We're having trouble stressed out at work and whatnot. So the core essence of what is going on there, it might be a little bit nebulous, right? So even though it may seem on the surface that we are, can you guys still hear me? I'm having some like weird connection things over here. I just want to make sure that I look okay for you guys before I continue. Or do I have to do troubleshooting? I don't want to do troubleshooting. Lovely. Okay. So, even though we might get interested in meditation initially for relaxation, um, the way in which meditation is relaxing us is not always presented in a very clear way, right? We might try it and we'll be like, hey, I felt relaxed. That's good enough for me. But high def video, high fidelity audio. Wow. Top tier stuff. Thank you. I appreciate that. What's going on under the hood why is meditation used as a relaxation tool? So meditation isn't creating relaxation at all. What it is doing, it is teaching you to become really familiar with relaxed you. Now, I know you're thinking, I don't know where relaxed me is. Doesn't really show up that often. But if you're honest with yourself, you think hard enough, there's times you've been super calm, cool, collective, relaxed, thinking about your problems in an objective way and whatnot, right? Calm, not stressed. It's in there, right? It's in there. It's not something that we have to create. It is something that we just have to become more familiar with. And this concept of using this technique, meditation, to familiarize our mind with things, we can see how important that is based on thinking about some things that we're really familiar with and what that means for us, right? So take tying your shoe. You are very familiar with it, I would imagine, at this point, right? You tie your shoe, right? So, if I were to ask you to tie your shoe, you'd probably be like, I don't know why you're asking me to do this. This is a waste of my time. Fine. And you untie your shoe and then you retie it very quickly. You're probably like looking at me while you do it, like, I don't know why you're asking me to do this. But when you were a small child, long, long time ago, tying your shoe, near impossible, right? Made no sense. And the only difference in between then and now is what? Practice, right? Repetition, familiarity. Your mind, your body, the mechanics of tying your shoe, everything, right, is all coming together to create a effortless pursuit of this action, right? So this is our superpower, right? This is our one of our human superpowers, the ability to become familiar with things so that way they show up more regularly. They come easier to us. And the same is true with being relaxed, right? The more practice we have, the more we familiarize our mind with our relaxed self, that version of us that we love, the easier it is for that version of ourselves to show up, right? We don't have to try as hard. Right now we have to try hard, right? In times where we get frustrated, it's hard to be patient. It's really not hard to get frustrated. It comes very naturally, right? Because we've had a lot of practice getting annoyed. And so with meditation, we can start to choose, what do you want your mind to be super familiar with? Right? Okay, so that's the basics of what meditation is. When we do start learning, generally we start with breathing meditation, which is a great way to what I'll call pacify our busy mind. So our mind is very busy, right? It's kind of going, thinking about work, and then I'm thinking about what I got to do after work, and then, that someone just chatted me that, an email. It's constantly being pulled in a million directions all day long. And it's exhausting to even think about, right? So the first step when we're learning to meditate is to start to develop some ways to pacify the busyness in our mind, right? Because when our mind is really busy, it's hard for us to even entertain the idea of doing something like meditating on, gratitude or something like that, right? We're just too stressed out. So breathing meditation is a wonderful way to kind of just chill for a second, right? relax the busyness in our mind. And then from that point, we're in a nice, better state. We could branch and do whatever we want with meditation, or we can just stop right there and just feel a little better. So I want to do some breathing meditation together. If you want to get fancy about it, it's called single pointed concentration. And instructionally, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to do 3 things. First, we're going to choose to focus on our breath. Right? We're going to actively choose to do this. I know this seems silly, but this is a good habit because we're going to bring some intention into this. We're going to make a little promise to ourselves, mind. We're going to focus on our breath, and that's it, right? Single-pointed concentration. We're not multitasking. So that's the first thing we'll do. Second, anytime we notice we're no longer focusing on our breath, and this is going to happen, so don't get bent out of shape if you're like, I was thinking about something else. We think about work, we think about something happened earlier, something we're planning for. That's fine, right? Anytime we notice ourselves doing that, we're just going to be like, not right now to those thoughts. Right? We'll get to them later. It's kind of our saying here, not right now. We're not saying they're unimportant, just not now. Right? Choice. We're in control. So we're choosing to focus single pointedly on our breath, noticing where our attention drifts. And then the last step is just bringing our attention back to breathing every time we catch it drifting. This process we're going to do over and over again. And this is training our mind to focus single pointedly on something. And one lovely byproduct of this is we're going to be so focused on our breath that there's no room for all the other anxieties, stress, busyness, worries about work. We're going to start to settle in a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to lead us through a breathing meditation. It will not be long, so do not worry. You're not going to be sitting there with your eyes closed, for an exuberant amount of time. Be about 5 minutes. All right. So first step is get comfy. You do not need to sit cross-legged on the floor. You can if you'd like to, but you can also sit in a chair. I am in a very comfy office chair. I like it. You can lay down if you want to lay down. You're tired, had a long day. Go horizontal, right? It doesn't matter. There's no prerequisites for this to work, right? You don't need these specific set of circumstances or conditions, right? So just make sure you're relatively comfortable, and you can go ahead and close your eyes. And I'm going to guide us through about a 5-minute breathing meditation. Okay. Whenever we start a meditation, first things first, take a moment and check in with yourself. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Don't think too hard about it. Whatever comes up first. Maybe you're feeling tired after a long day. Maybe you're feeling energetic. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. We're not taking any action on this. We are just practicing noticing. This is a really important part of developing mindfulness. Mindfulness is an active awareness of your own thoughts moment to moment for the purpose of being able to respond skillfully to those thoughts. So let's practice that. Take a moment and just check in. Having done that, we can now make a choice, a little promise to ourselves. We're going to choose to focus single-pointedly, exclusively on our own breath. Breathing in and breathing out very gently and very naturally. You do not need to change anything about the way you normally breathe. You don't need to take big, deep in-breaths or forcefully exhale air. however you normally breathe, whatever comes natural. That's what I want you to do. In and out, gently, naturally, as you give yourself permission to relax a little bit into your chair, your cushion, your seat. Single pointedly focused on each moment of each breath. See if you can follow the air as it makes its journey from the atmosphere into your body as you inhale, where it fills your lungs with life and energy, and then follow that same air as it exits back into the atmosphere, a moment-to-moment interest in breathing in and breathing out, very gently and very naturally. At some point, you will notice your attention drifting. Maybe you're thinking about something that happened earlier today. Maybe you're thinking about something that you have to do later or tomorrow. Whenever you notice your mind drifting in this way, we can just say not right now to those thoughts. We'll get to them later on our own time. And then guide your attention back to your breath, back to following the air as you breathe in and out, gently, naturally. And keep bringing your attention back to your breath whenever you notice it's drifted. The goal of meditation is not to never be distracted, but rather to become aware of when you are and be able to get back on track. This process of choosing to focus single-pointedly on your breath, noticing when your attention drifts a bit, and then being able to guide your attention back to breathing, that is meditation. Each one of you is meditating right now. You are training your mind to be calm, to access its natural peaceful state. You're becoming familiar with relaxed you. And most importantly, you're training your mind to focus on what you want to focus on. Choice. And right now, the only thing that you want to focus on is breathing in and out very gently and very naturally as you sink into your seat a little bit more. So just for the last few moments, enjoy sitting here relaxing. No need to think about anything else. Just you and your breath. Okay. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Hello. Welcome back. So that was a pretty standard breathing meditation, not too long, and it consisted of 3 parts, right? Made a choice to focus on our breath. Anytime we caught ourselves drifting, and look, that's going to happen, right? That's part of this. A lot of times when we start, we're like, I'm no good. I got distracted. Our mind thinks, and really what we're getting at here with all this talk about familiarity and whatnot is our mind does what it's familiar with, right? So if our mind is really familiar with being busy, multitasking, then when we ask it to not do that, sometimes it's like, I don't think so. But the beauty of it is we can train our mind. Everything that we've ever learned, right? We can see how familiarity starts to enrich that. And so this is no different, right? Riley, I noticed that a lot of times when I try to relax, my mind and body doesn't really know what to do. I always practice this. I just work hard all the time. And so I have to get used to relaxed you. Any advice? Yeah, I think you nailed it. Think about the last time you did this, right? Maybe it was last week with me. Yeah. So this is not normalized. And we're going to talk about that in our class today, because we're going to talk about routine building. We're not familiar with this. Our mind is not familiar with focusing on one thing. We are all absolutely incredible multitaskers. Even if you think you're not, taking a drink of water when you're listening to somebody is multitasking, right? Moving my hands while I'm talking is multitasking. You were relaxed once. That's all you need though, Rob. It's in there. And I think that's a really important point is sometimes we seek out meditation to gain relaxed you, but you already have relaxed you. This is an aid to help you become really familiar with it. That way you don't have to try as hard, right? That's kind of our goal, is we want this to start to come up naturally, right? So Riley, I think you did nail it. Like, this is not something that you're really used to. And as such, your mind, your body, they're like, what are you doing? I have a million things to think about. Hello, please stop thinking about one thing. Over time, right, our mind is going to get used to this. It's going to start to see the benefit in doing this, and it will be normalized enough that there's not as much kind of resistance. Right now, there's going to be resistance, and that's okay, right? That doesn't mean that you're not doing it right or what. That means you're learning something new, right? Cool. Great question. All right. So I'm going to move on to our topic for today. If you do have any other questions on breathing meditation or anything we just did, feel free to ask. But this is not going to be a big departure from what we were just talking about, because we're talking about building our meditation routine, right? Mary, mine drifted a little, learning to remind myself to focus on my breath throughout the day when I need to do this in certain situations. Great. Yeah. So that's a very good segue into this routine building, right? And the fact that you're starting to do that is really encouraging. It means it's becoming more normalized for you, right? We don't have to have a set time to do this. It starts to pop up, the thought of doing it more naturally. Amazing. Great. So, why is routine? Look, building a meditation routine is beneficial in the same way that building any routine is beneficial. The goal is the same. We become familiar with it, right? To the point where it's not as challenging. We don't it's not as much effort to go and do it, both mental and physical, right? Thinking about if you start to work out or something, you go into the gym. At first, that's very annoying, I gotta get in the car. I gotta go over there. It's cold. But if we kind of stick with it, what happens? It starts to become a part of our lives. We start to see some of the benefits of it. And it starts to not feel like a chore, right? Most of the time. And learning meditation, we can think of it as like working out for our mind, right? So right now, we haven't really done that. We're just starting to go to the gym. And so, there's going to be times where like, I don't want to, I'm so tired. I want to do this, I want to watch a show instead. It becomes a habit. Yes. A good habit. Yeah. So when we're getting started, right, setting yourself up for success is really important. And there's no perfect formula here. Everyone's going to be different, right? Somebody might like meditating for an hour, and somebody might like meditating for 30 seconds. Honestly, they're doing the same thing. And I'm going to explain why. So when we're talking about building a routine, it's really important, I think, that you think about this in terms of you, not what society expects you to do. Like, what is going to work for you in your current situation? And that might change, right? Sometimes maybe we just had kids and we have no time, and so we might have to adjust things. Maybe we're just retired and we have more time, right? So we can adjust our meditation routine based on our situation. But there's a couple key things that are important to think about to help you make sure you're on the right track. And that's what we're gonna focus on today. All right. And really the goals of building this kind of perfect meditation routine for yourself is threefold. One, we want to normalize this, right? Want to set ourselves up to be able to do this regularly so that it becomes a habit, right? A good habit. The other is we want to develop aspiration, which I like to compare, if inspiration is a spark. Inspiration got you here, right? You're here. You're like, maybe I'm going to go learn how to meditate. Aspiration is this kind of like promise to ourselves, like, I'm doing this thing, right? To the point where like there's no like question that I'm going to make this that this is a part of my life and day now, right? And we get there naturally by starting to see the benefits, right, of what we're doing, seeing the fruits of our labor, so to speak. And it's important to see the fruits of our labor that we're setting ourselves up for success, right? So it's all tied in together. And then the final thing that's really important with routine building and maybe the most important aspect of seeing, benefits from meditation is starting to not view this as a chore, right? To meditate joyfully, to find the joy in doing this, to look forward to it, right? And look, I know at first that's not going to, it's going to, just like anything else, it's going to feel like a chore at first, but eventually this is going to change. And that's a big moment. You'll notice when it happens, and it's a big moment. You can just clap for yourself. I probably won't be there. Okay. So how do we do this? How do we think about our current situation and build, a good meditation routine for ourselves? There's a couple questions that are very commonly asked, and I think they're really the ones that we need to ask ourselves in order to build our routine. So let's ask ourselves these questions. The first one is, when should I meditate? Right? This is probably the most common question. And the answer is, it doesn't really matter. So there's no perfect time, right, to meditate. It's not like meditating in the morning is better than meditating in the afternoon. Meditating is meditating, because what we're doing is we're just training our mind, right? And it's not really it's not directly impacted by the time of day. Now, what I will say is that when you are learning meditation, I would very highly recommend that you start meditating, like your meditation time of day is a time of day in which you find yourself relatively not stressed, right? So I always use the example of, for me, when I first started a while ago, I was like, I'm going to meditate in the morning because that's what a responsible adult would do. They will wake up, they'll meditate, and their day will be fantastic. But I am not a morning person, and I have yet to grow out of it. And so when you're not a morning person, you're always late. And being late is stressful. And so I would wake up and I'd be late, of course, and I'd be so stressed that it was really hard for me to kind of get into my little meditation routine groove. I'm like, I got to go to work. I don't have time to meditate right now. Right. And so eventually I was like, let me try something else. And I tried after work in the afternoon. And you know what? That worked for me. So it doesn't matter. It's not like, oh, if only I had been able to do the morning, I'd be more advanced. It doesn't matter. So with this question, when should I meditate? And we're gonna do a meditation together where we ask ourselves these questions. We want to think about the stress factor, right? Is the morning good, right? Maybe your house is like really busy in the morning and it's not, right? You get it with your yoga routines too. Yeah, it's the same thing, right? When we're starting to learn something new, we want to find a time where we don't feel like this is impeding on something else, right? So when we got to think about, and then we're going to stick to that, right? Doesn't mean you like maybe eventually you'll be like, you know what? I don't think the mornings I don't think are working. I'm not just going to force it in there, but give it some time. Like see if this. I guess what I'm saying is don't be like, I will meditate today. We know what'll happen. I'll do it later, right? And then later comes like, I'll do it later. And then that later comes and we're like, I'm tired. And then we go to bed. So we're going to pick a meditation time, right? But we're going to do it in a way that works for us. Cool? Okay. So the other really common question is where? Where should I meditate? Where's my meditation space? There is the inclination to go to a very tranquil location. Maybe I live in Colorado. There's a lot of mountains. It'd be a great spot. I'll go up this little trail to this mountain. And that's all well and good and lovely and beautiful. But what about when it snows? I'm not going up there, right? And so it becomes inaccessible to me. Even if I want to go up there, there's all these blockades. So when we're thinking about where, the most important factor is accessibility, right? Like from a daily standpoint. Okay. If you every Saturday go and walk around the lake with your dog, cool, but that's only Saturday, right? So that's not really accessible. We're not doing that every day. So accessibility is the most important factor as to where. And we want to find a place that's relatively quiet. And I say relatively because it can be helpful with distractions, but we do not need perfect silence. And in fact, our life is very rarely silent. And so if we can only relax when it's perfectly silent, we're going to have a problem. So having some noise around isn't necessarily a bad thing. So one good example is if you have a really busy household, you got a lot of kids, they're all coming back from school, you're coming back from work, right? There's no meditation time going on when you get home. Something I've suggested, I've heard a couple of people say it's worked for them, is when you pull your car into the old driveway there before you go in, 30 seconds, whatever your meditation time is. We'll talk about that in a sec. But that's your little spot, your little safety box in your car. And then you go into your house and you go about your business. So it doesn't really matter where. We just want it to be accessible, relatively quiet, and a place that's ours, right, for the most part. Cool? Okay. So we talked about when, we talked about where, and now we're going to talk about how long. Maybe this is the most common question. How long do I have to do this? very common misconception about meditation that it needs to be like an hour to work. It's not true. In fact, I would not recommend you start meditating any longer than like 10 minutes. Even that's a little much if you're just getting started. The thing that is going to help you help normalize meditation to the point where you can use this in a lot of wonderful ways is consistency, right? So what is consistently sustainable for your current situation? There's that phrase again. Your current situation may change. Currently, what do you think you could commit to? Right? You don't need to answer me. We're going to do a little meditation where you think about it. But this is really important, right? And we might have a friend who meditates and they're meditating for a half hour. And so we feel like we should do that. Don't worry about them. Doesn't matter. Be honest with yourself. If it's 30 seconds in the morning, perfect, right? Go with that. I generally tell people, think about what you believe you can commit to and then cut it in half, right? We can always change it. We can increase it, but we want to get some small wins. We want to start to prove to ourselves that we can do this because you can. It's in you. We actually are all good meditators. We meditate on things by accident, right? We're hyper-focused on something at work and we lose track of time. It's kind of like a meditation. So we're just practicing making this a normal part of our life, right? And time really doesn't factor into that. Consistency factors into that. All right. So we hit when, we hit where, we hit how long. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is, well, like what should I meditate on, or like what type of meditation? If you've been coming here for a while, we talk about a lot of different meditations. We do a lot. Which one should you do? All right. Sometimes I'll refer to this as like the pick a project stage. Right? So if this class here on Wednesdays is a cookbook's got a lot of recipes in it. Now, I may like pulled pork. I don't know. The recipe for pulled pork. You may not. And that's fine, right? We're going to each connect with a different recipe. And what I would suggest doing is whatever recipe kind of connects with you, stick with that for a little while. We want to become a little bit of an expert in that, right? Before we start to really like move on to something else, because we want that to become normal for us. Oh, breathing meditation? Got it. Yeah. Our mind's like, oh, the breathing thing. Cool. And then we maybe try something else, right? So we want to kind of stick to our instincts a little bit here. And one helpful question, which we'll do in the meditation, which we're going to do now, is thinking about what brought you here. Why are you here right now? Not on Earth. That's a deeper question. But on this meditation channel, right? Something, right? I got into meditation to help with anxiety. Maybe that's why you're here. Maybe you're here to relax. Maybe you're here because it was on a recommendation. Like think about why you're here and maybe how that might play into what style of meditation you might want to focus on. Right? This one, don't worry too much about. It's just a fun thing to think about. The other three are really where we're going to find our niche for our meditation routine. Cool? Okay. So I want to do a meditation now, and it's going to be similar to what we just did. We're going to start with some breathing meditation, and then I'm going to guide us on a little journey where we ask ourselves these 4 questions, right? What time of day? I'm not going to go over them. We're doing the meditation. But we're going to ask ourselves these questions. And the goal here is we don't really have to, if you come out and you're like, I don't know, that's fine, right? We're using our kind of relaxed mind state from breathing meditation to think about these questions clearly, to maybe see if we can be a little honest with ourselves about where, when, how long would work for us, right? This is just for you. Don't compare it to anyone else. It doesn't matter, right? This is your meditation routine. Okay? Cool. All right. Let's get comfy again. All right. You want to change spots? Go ahead. And you can go ahead and close your eyes, and I'm going to guide us through another short breathing meditation, followed by this little exercise on building a meditation routine for yourself. Okay. Once again, let's take a moment and check in. How are you feeling right now? It's not a comparison. We're not comparing it to before. Before is done. Just now, in this exact moment. What is your mind up to? We're honing our skills of awareness so we can respond to our thoughts early on in the process, making them easier to manage. Take a moment, check in. Having done that, you can once again turn your attention to your breath, making a promise to yourself to focus single-pointedly on each breath as you breathe in and out gently and naturally. Following the air as best you can as it enters your body and exits. Can you have a moment-to-moment awareness of your breath? This moment, this moment, this moment, this moment. At some point, your mind will drift, and that's okay. Your mind is used to thinking about a lot of things, and so it will continue to do so. No big deal. Whenever you catch your mind drifting, we can just say, not right now to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. And then guide your attention back to breathing. In and out. Very gently and naturally. As you begin to relax once again into your chair or cushion, feel your body sink in. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath whenever it drifts. As you begin to really focus single-pointedly on your breath, interestingly enough, you may start to notice some things about your breath that you hadn't really noticed before. They've always been there, but it seems more prominent. Maybe you're noticing how the air feels cool temperature-wise when you breathe in. You can feel that coolness on the tip of your nose with each inhale. And that same air, well, it feels a bit warmer when you breathe out. Interesting. Maybe you're noticing your body moving as you breathe. Your shoulders rising, falling, chest expanding, contracting. Your entire body an active participant in each moment of each breath. Single-pointedly focusing on an activity can often reveal some subtle joys about the activity itself. How wonderful that you can learn to find subtle joys in something as accessible as breathing in and out, very gently and very naturally. So, having spent some time pacifying our busy mind with breathing meditation, maybe we're feeling just a little bit more relaxed, even just microscopically. That's good. We can use our more relaxed mind state to think about something with maybe a level of clarity that we otherwise couldn't. Tonight we're going to think about 4 very important questions. 4 questions that'll help you determine how to build the perfect meditation routine for you so you can find success with this wonderful technique. So just follow along with what I'm saying and enjoy. The first question I'd like you to think about is, what time of day am I generally the least stressed? Think about your day on average. Is there a time that sticks out to you where you find yourself not generally in the throes of feeling stressed? Whatever comes to mind, just hold it there. Hold that time of day in your mind. Familiarize yourself with this time of day. This is going to be your meditation time. Now I'd like you to ask yourself another question. Where is an accessible place for me that's relatively quiet that would be good for meditation? Is there a spot in our house, car, wherever? If you think about your day on average, is there a spot? Whatever comes to mind, your instincts. Hold that. Hold that place in your mind. This is your meditation spot. Now you can ask yourself the third question. How much time per day can I realistically dedicate towards practicing meditation? What would make you feel like this is achievable? Don't try to increase that number. Be honest with yourself. Even if it's 2 seconds. What amount of time do you feel comfortable dedicating to this? And whatever that number is, I want you to have it. Cut that number in half. And hold that result in your mind. This is your daily goal of dedicating time to meditation. And the last question. It's a bit more open-ended. What brought you here? Why did you decide to learn meditation? There's no right or wrong answer. Be honest with yourself about why you're here. Hold that reason in your mind. This is your everlasting flame, your aspiration, the reason that you will dedicate some time to building a meditation routine for yourself. This is your compass. And whenever you feel uninspired to continue with your meditation routine, think about this reason. And just for the last few moments, just sit here and relax, feeling proud that you have done some internal investigation as to how you can set up a meditation routine for yourself. Make a promise to try it. Okay. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Hello. So maybe some of you are like, oh yeah, I thought of some cool times and places and stuff like that. And maybe you guys were like, I was just hung up on my breath. It's fine. This is just an example of how we can use. Oh, you don't have to apologize for being late. You can watch this whenever you want. It'll be on YouTube forever. So I find that sometimes when I'm having to make a decision, right? I'm like, oh, when should I meditate? Right? We could use meditation to help. It's very meta. So this was an example of us using our relaxed mind, produced a little bit by breathing meditation, to think about this with some clarity. What can I realistically dedicate? How much time can I realistically dedicate to this? Where's a good spot? Right? So hopefully that was enjoyable or thought-provoking. And I would spend some time if you didn't really kind of come to a conclusion thinking about these questions and what they mean to you and what the honest answers are for you. And I just want to reiterate, there's no like right formula here. Consistency is what you're after, and these set of questions, I think, help you find where that level of consistency lies for you. All right, good, great. Glad you had a good experience. You guys are the best. All right, so that's all for today. If you did have a good time, come on back next week. We'll talk about something else meditation related, same time and all that. If you do have any interest in doing some private study, I offer that as well. It's a really good opportunity to focus very specifically on why you're here. That question, right? What brought you here? I mentioned I originally got into meditation for anxiety. It's a common one. We can focus on that. So if you are interested in doing a one-on-one, you can email me and we'll find a time. Benita, my name is Keith. Thank you. MB, I owe you an email. I know I'm catching up. What am I down? It's my downfall. Keeping up with email. I will get back to you. I appreciate your patience. That's not a good plug for me giving you my email. Here, I'm going to put in my email right now so you can email me and then have to wait. Meditationbreaks.com. Did I do it? Alex, I've shown your videos to a lot of my friends. Would you be able to make a 5-ish minute video explaining meditation and then do a quick guided meditation? Yeah. It's on my list of things to do. I wanted to start live just because I love the format, but I am planning on doing some more kind of like pre-recorded, I guess would be the way to say it. But if you ever wanted to do something with a group, I do that too. Also, I do stuff for corporate, for work. You want to bring me in, get a little free time off work, that's cool. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, you can email me and we'll work something out, right? And then lastly, thanks to anyone who subscribed to my YouTube channel during the live stream and anyone who chooses to do so at any point later or has done so previously. All my old videos are up there. You can browse them and rewatch to your heart's content. So I just wanted to say thank you for anyone who chooses to do that. I appreciate it. And another thank you for you guys just taking time out of your day to be here. I love teaching and I couldn't do it without you guys dedicating some of your time to me. So thank you. Have a wonderful week. Good luck setting up your routine and I'll see you guys next time. All right. Take care.